Hello, hello, hello. Good to see so many of you already in the chat. Hope you guys are doing all right. Let me know if everything works. I think the mic should be working, so and that's at least something. Most important, anyway. If you give a like without seeing the content, what's the value of your like? I mean, that's just a very trusting thing to do, right? It's like a trust fall just with content. I appreciate that. Mic is better? What does that mean? It's the same mic that it's been for the last year. Nothing's changed on the mic. Front, anyway. Nothing's changed there. When 50k, that's gonna be a while, my friend. I think this bear market is gonna last a while. It's gonna be choppy. So we'll have plenty of time till then, I think. So yeah. We can do a little bit more casual today. I don't think there's too much to talk about market-wise, but we'll see as we go along, really. But yeah, before I start the show, big shout out to FTX for sponsoring it. Really appreciate their support. If you wanna use the best mobile app in crypto, you should use theirs because I think it is the best. So yeah, the links to them are in the description. Go check them out. And yeah, they've been supporting the show for a while now. Really appreciate it. The fearless skydiver has arrived. Yeah, I had zero issues with it at all. I was like more excited than anything, more excited than I was nervous. And then we were going up and I had like this shit-eating grin the entire fucking way up with the airplane. And I was just waiting to jump out of it. There was like 0 seconds hesitation for me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm broken like that. So, oh man, this is gonna be like 90% are going to ask me how my date went, and like 10% are gonna be actually interested in what I have to say about the market. Life is struggling, but no, it went well. I really like the woman that I'm meeting with. She's amazing. So yeah. So is she the one? I mean, that's early to say, my friend. After 2 dates, I'm not gonna claim anything and jinx it. And who knows? Maybe not. Willing to try it out anyway. Maybe we're trying to get away from your date. Nah, she jumped before me, so I jumped after her. Did she actually? Maybe I jumped before her. Oh, I don't remember. I don't know. Either way, let's start with the market stuff and then we can talk about other stuff that you guys care about more, I guess. Which is, I mean, it's fair. The market's not really been moving too much. So I guess there is other stuff that is more interesting. But yeah, high time frame wise, still like monthly, still far from support, obviously. But I don't think it makes much sense to wait for this, given we have a really, really strong weekly support, and that's been doing its job, right? And something that I've been talking about for a while now is like this cycle high. And originally, I didn't like it too much because I was like, okay, this is just going to be overcrowded. But given sentiment changed so much, it's actually not an overcrowded level, and it's been working really, really well, right? Because I thought if we ever got there, people would over leverage on the long side, but they've not been. So it's actually a much, much better level than I expected, which is nice, right? So we have a confluence of like the prior 2017 all-time high, and obviously this consolidation on the way up that basically preceded the entire last push of the market. That's why we're bouncing right now. You could argue that, and Cred and I have talked about this today, that this is resistance. I don't think it's too important just based on the fact that we have lower time frame resistance in that area anyway. So they're probably going to get broken at the same time. So it makes more sense for that resistance to be tested on the daily more so than on the weekly. And yeah, if you're bouncing from support, you kind of have to target resistance, right? And resistance is quite far away. You don't necessarily have to like kind of target all the way up to resistance, but I think 28K makes a lot of sense just based on like pure simple TA. You're like you're bouncing from support where you're gonna go to resistance, and if you see any weakness on the way up, you can obviously flip back bearish. But that's kind of my going thesis. We're bouncing from support, we're gonna run into resistance, and the next resistance for me, you can see this on the monthly, right? On the monthly, there's no resistance whatsoever, all the way up to 37K. On the weekly, there's no real resistance until 28K, and that's a kind of shitty one, but I still think that makes a lot of sense for taking profits. And then even on the low time frames, on the daily, there's no resistance here either, right? So you have an area where there's nothing, like there's no volume traded there. It's just like straight up, straight down, right? We had straight up here. We had straight down on the right side, which means that if we get back into that area, there's good chance that we're going to move quickly, right? Because you're going to have everyone that kind of traded in this range on the wrong side of that, and they're going to be getting squeezed. And then obviously, like I said, there's not that much action that's been happening there. So whenever that's the case, people are just not really willing to sell, and people are more likely to buy. So like these kind of squeeze areas just tend to squeeze a little bit. Now, if that doesn't happen, right, and I mean, there's like good reason to be a little bit cautious right now. We're bouncing from support, as you can see, right? I have this weekly support on the daily here, but we're running into daily resistance, and it kind of has to poke through this before it can expand bigger. But if it does, it actually starts looking really good, really fast, right? Because what this is essentially so far anyways, right? You have like a sharp drop, and then you have like a more shallow kind of drop. And it's like, I mean, there's a pattern that's called Adam and Eve pattern if you're like a pattern trader. But for me, this is just a higher low so far. It's not confirmed though. And we're trading into resistance, which means you want to break that resistance first before you kind of get overly excited. For me, I positioned myself. I'm not going to change anything on the position side of things. But I think there are trades to be had, technically speaking. And that would be like breaking this 20.7K area. And then you have like a momentum play to the upside to be made, right? Because then you have like a relatively clean setup. I don't need it because, like I said, I'm just betting that the support is going to hold, so I don't need to kind of take these kind of trades. And the trade on the trading side of things, it's been a little bit choppy. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. But if you start closing above 20.7K, I think like the most sensible trade to take would be this one. Obviously, risk to reward is quite high, so the chance of it playing out is not as high, but I think it's decently likely if we do break 20.7K and start rallying, because then you have, like I said, a confirmed higher low. And then the market looks much, much better pretty much immediately. Right now, we're still trading into resistance. So, yeah. Yeah, of course, like go check the comments and no one gives a shit. And everyone's just like asking about my dating life. Fine. Let me answer a few questions and then sorry for everyone that just wants to get the TA. It's not my fault, I promise you. So let me see. Is she German? Nope. She's French. Don's in the trap, yeah. Deep. I've been had, man. I've been had. Do you speak English or German on dates? English. Jesus Christ. So many questions. This is Did you tell her what you do? Kind of, not really. A little bit. We're meeting tomorrow again, and maybe I'll show her this video. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. But no, she doesn't know my Twitter profile and all that kind of stuff. I don't really tell anyone that I do that. Took me long enough to tell my family. So yeah, I think that's enough questions on that front before. I mean, we can, like I said, we can do it at the end of the stream. Do you looking to just have casual dates or more like settling down? I'm looking for for something serious. I have had enough of the dating life, so yeah. Yo, we are getting a stream pump. Yeah, pump it, send it. Lower time frame wise, I mean, Powell is at work again, and the S&P is pumping. The cool thing is, right, I've seen so many people, and let me quickly get this off my chest, so many people on Twitter being the complete, like, pretending like they're better than everyone else, being like, yeah, you're just trading the S&P, you have no idea what you're talking about, blah, 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 right? I've gotten so many comments like that, and I've seen even bigger Twitter profiles just kind of be like, okay, yeah, these people have no idea what they're talking about. The funny thing is, right, the reason why I've been like bullish has been because the S&P has been at support. Like that's one of the big reasons, right? And ever since we hit that support on the S&P, we've been bouncing on Bitcoin, on the crypto in general. So it's kind of like, yeah, we've been trading a little bit off the S&P, but for some reason TA has been working there actually quite nicely. So yeah, I don't know where the hate is coming from. People just kind of look for a reason to be upset or to find something like that's at fault for their own misfortune, I guess. I don't know. It's weird, but we're bouncing from support on the S&P, and I think there's quite more room to go, which has me a little bit excited for what's to come for Bitcoin and for crypto as a whole. Like if the S&P shows strength, I think crypto can have like a really nice rally. And the cool thing is, we've had weakness, right? We've had like crypto-specific weakness in the last weeks, basically. Whenever the S&P or like the traditional markets bounced, crypto's done less so. And the last few days, I feel like, and this is my personal kind of feel of the market, that has changed a little bit. People aren't as eager anymore to sell crypto. So we're not underperforming the S&P anymore, and I think that's gonna continue going that way. So I think like the worst on that front is over. I don't think Bitcoin would go up if the S&P crashes, but I think if the S&P goes down, Bitcoin and crypto as a whole is going to go up the same or more from now on. That's my feeling. I have money on it. I was just about to say like I wouldn't bet on it, but I actually do have bets running on it. So yeah, pretty high conviction on that front. Don't really think, unless something crazy happens, that the recent crypto weakness that we've had is going to continue. So it's not going to be S&P down, crypto down, and then S&P up and crypto sideways. I think if anything, at worst, it's going to be a correlation again. And not a weak correlation, but like the S&P shows strength, crypto shows strength. Put on more indicators for the pump. I mean, it did work last time, so. But that is more for the end of the stream. I don't want to deal with indicators on my stream the entire rest of the stream. But yeah, Bitcoin, in my opinion, if we get through this red zone, it actually starts looking really, really good, right? We've seen these kind of patterns a lot near bottoms where you have like, you start absorbing, you retest that low, and then you just start running. I think that's like very similar. So yeah, not too shabby on that front. Unless we obviously get rejected by this resistance that look abysmal at that point. But if we get above it, I'm hesitantly optimistic. Let me put it that way. So yeah. Don, can you please chat XRP if possible? Oh, Jesus Christ, what kind of request is that? But yeah, we can go over it in a second. Did you tell her you're a board 8 yacht club owner? No. And I mean, that's going to be the last thing I tell her. I don't think I'm ever going to tell her that. If she finds out, okay, but I'm not going to tell her that. That is not something to be proud of. I, in general, don't flex. You're not going to see me flex in real life ever. And I mean, that's like flexing your board ape. I mean, that's the worst flex you can do, I think. That's like an anti-flex. If you do that, it's kind of over for you. But yeah, in general, I don't flex, so. Do you think people should trade crypto during bear markets? I keep hearing that the choppy nature will make a lot of people lose money. I think, yeah, I think people shouldn't be trading bear markets. You're going to have the best entries in a bear market, obviously. But on the way there, you're going to lose a shitload of money. So if you feel like a bear market's coming or felt like it and you can avoid all of this, you can't just wait until everything looks rosy again and the world has kind of picked up its pieces. For me, I mean, I do trade for a living, so I don't mind getting my hands dirty from time to time. But I mean, you saw me wait, right? You saw me do nothing from 60K. I mean, I bought a bunch, like I bought twice of I think 2 times, maybe 3 times on the way down. But nothing significant. I never held it too long. Until like this bottom here, where I think it makes sense to put on risk, right? Like big risk. So like in here, I've been doing like 100 times more business than I've been doing all the way down. Just because I have like much higher conviction. I think in general, like if anyone asked you, right? And we can quickly go over Bitcoin for like a second and then finish it and go towards like ETH and stuff. But if someone asked you, ignoring everything else, you didn't know about like what was going on in the world, what is the level that you want to be buying crypto in, or like in general, like where do you want to be buying? The one level that you would be telling people that you want to buy at is 20K, right? And the fact that people are scared to buy it now has me just very confident, right? Because this is like legitimately by far the best level on the chart. And I still remember saying the same thing down here, right? It was like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look too good, but it's best level on the chart that we have by far. So, I mean, you kind of have to buy it. And that was the bottom for a while. It went up quite a bit before COVID hit. Would have probably went up even further if COVID didn't hit. But yeah, I had a really nice trade in there, and I'm kind of aiming for the same thing again, right? This was the best level that we had. We bounced strong from it, all the way from 6K to 10K, or like a little bit above. If you take that low to that high, that's the 60% increase. If you take the low that we've set towards like where we have the prior range low, basically my target area, that's roughly like 60% as well. That's all I want. Doesn't have to happen, but that's basically, I don't need much more. And this was a black swan anyway. So you could argue that this should have actually done basically just this. So this price action shouldn't have happened. Who knows what would have happened if COVID didn't happen? I don't. Probably wouldn't have gone up as far, just based on like just how the market reacted and how much printing we got basically, but still. Price action wise feels pretty similar. That's why I feel comfortable right now in my positions. Can change quickly, but right now I'm not too worried with all of this. So yeah, 20K best support. Then obviously second best support that you have is 12 to 14K. Any support below that I think is delusional. If you're targeting 6K, if you get to buy that, you're really lucky if it doesn't go to 0, I think. And the same thing is true for 4K and everything below, obviously. So like I think at that point, beyond like a wick, and even that would be absolutely terrible, and I'd expect it to actually go lower at that point. I think these are unreasonable. So you basically have this support to buy and you have this support to buy, and that's it. Anything beyond that would very much surprise me. So yeah, I'm gonna do business at both. And if it goes all the way back up and goes to new all-time high, I'm gonna be happy to have made business at the most obvious level on the chart. And people are gonna be like, this was so obvious, but it's always obvious in hindsight, right? Because yeah, you don't, like, in hindsight, the macro situation is forgotten and everything is forgotten, and you just have the chart, I guess. And that's why, like, these kind of levels that you have, you're like, holy shit, like, how can like anyone that has been trading this for a few years not become like giga rich? And the answer is because it's always easy in hindsight to see. It's not easy while it's actually happening. Do you still think Solana will outperform Bitcoin? Yes. I mean, I still have my Solana position. It's going quite well. People actually, it's kind of funny because people made fun of me for my Solana position without it actually ever dipping below my entry, not even close. I mean, it went to $30 again. My average is like in the 28s. So yeah, it took like a little bit of a haircut there, but it's like now pretty much retraced most of the down move already. So yeah, I think this can still easily outperform both on the USD pair, obviously, and on the Bitcoin pair. And this is the hilarious part. This is what people made fun of. Like you have this bounce, right? Up only for 85%. And then you get a pullback of 18% after like a almost double. And people are already being like, haha. And it's like, okay, whatever, you do you, I don't mind. Are you still in Litecoin? Litecoin Bitcoin looks like a messy inverted head and shoulders. With regards to Litecoin, I've actually just bought Sol instead. I like the setup. I like Litecoin a lot, but I pushed everything into Sol, which has been doing me well. But I'm actually interested in buying Litecoin in here. So if it goes in here, I'm going to be buying Litecoin again. But before that, I'm going to wait either for like another close up here maybe, or just buy Sol again, because I'm pretty bullish on that. Don finding love was the bottom signal. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Are you overweight more Bitcoin or altcoins down here? I know you originally were deep in Sol, but you already got a decent pump there. Yeah, I still have pretty much the exact same distribution that I had earlier. So I still have more Sol than I have Bitcoin. I traded around a little bit, so I kind of reduced some risk by kind of getting good exits and rebuying cheaper. Still have the same size position, but just realized some profits and kind of like shuffled the position around a little bit. Not too much. People kind of expected me to sell the top and then buy back at the bottom again. I don't really need to do that, given I want to have a position. Like imagine I sold 40 and it goes and actually squeezes to 50, and I'm high conviction that it's gonna go to 80. What the fuck do I do in that instance, right? You're kind of fucked. So like I traded around that a little bit because I don't want to be in the position where I have to chase something. If I have strong conviction, and you see this all the time, right? People, like whenever we have a bear market, people are like, close your positions early, blah, 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 don't round trip, right? We've seen that like every single cycle. And then the bull market comes back around and people sell stuff. And I still remember this for Litecoin a couple times actually. They're used to the bear market, everything goes down, and then they get a really good entry, and then they sell it, like Litecoin's at $30 and they sell it at 40, and they're like super happy, and then it goes all the way to 150, right? And there's always the weird thing in these markets is that like even the advice that you get is cyclical. So during bear markets, you always, or like at the end, or like closing in on the end of the bear markets, people are always going to recommend you to close trades early. And then during the early bull market, that advice is still gonna float around. And then everyone that kind of follows that advice just gets completely giga wrecked because they sell into the first kind of pump. And then they have to chase up and they get wrecked on the first pullback, all that kind of stuff, right? So that opinion changes and people are like, yeah, you should be holding this stuff. If it goes down a little bit, it goes down a little bit, but the bigger gains are made by holding, and then the bull market's over and people get wrecked that way. Like it's kind of funny seeing this stuff like go from like even the advice goes through cycles. And usually, in my experience, the moment, and this is not to bash anyone that is giving out this advice, because oftentimes, like, people give the right advice. It's just that people don't follow it until it's the right time, like until it's the wrong time to follow the advice, because it's not going to be popular. Like, people are going to be like, don't round trip in the early bear market. And then it's not going to be popular, right? Because people still believe in this shit. And then it goes down 50%, and then they think, okay, maybe I should have listened to this guy, but now it's 50% down. So I won't. I mean, I'd be stupid if I listened to it now. I could have listened to it 50% ago. It goes down another 50%, and they're like, ah, fuck. He was right after all, and I still have time to be bearish or whatever. And then they flip it and get completely wrecked. So it's not necessarily the fault of the guy giving the advice. It's more so that, like, people choose to follow advice at the worst market conditions to do so every single time, right? No matter what kind of advice you give, people are only going to follow it most of the time anyway, at like bad times. So they're gonna see, okay, what is this guy doing now? I don't really like what he's doing, whatever. I don't agree with it. And then whatever that person said is playing out. And the moment they start trusting whatever someone else is saying is the moment where the market usually turns around. So yeah, there's a bunch of altcoins that actually look good. I think ETH is one of them. We can talk about ETH real quick. And this is super exciting because I think people just gave up on ETH, which is pretty nice given that we have like a bunch of fundamental catalysts that could catapult this upwards. So what basically happened is we've had this range in here, right? Like we had basically, we had the all-time high, we had the echo bubble, we made a lower high here, and then we broke down, right? And that kind of move, that set our range, right? We got back into it, rallied all the way from the bottom to the top, to the bottom, to the top, all the way to the bottom, and then the bottom fell out, right? So support failed. But instead of going down, it's actually reclaimed. So it's showing strength where it should normally show weakness. So if we start closing above this red box, good sign, and we talked about this last week, is that we held the bottom of the box. We actually like pretty much exactly did that. Someone was defending it. Always appreciate that. Wasn't me, but yeah. So we had that defended, and if we start closing back inside the range, it starts looking really good, because then you have pretty easy kind of mental setups to take, right? It's the same thing as always. Range low, the fake out level, kind of, you can do it like this if you want to go safer. It's basically a trade from range low to range high after a failed breakdown, right? And that's a pretty nice setup. I own a bunch of ETH, just for your info, so maybe that's why I'm bullish on it. But I mean, if I'm buying stuff for a reason always, right? So ETH BTC looks good to me. ETH USD, weekly wise, it's at resistance, but it's tested this resistance before, right? So this is big resistance. I think if we break that, we're gonna immediately squeeze upwards to 1.8K. But it's big resistance, right? It's the all-time high, the prior all-time high. That said, on the higher time frames, you can see that this entire area is basically support, and we're bouncing from support. And even if this is bearish still, what I would think would happen would be something like this. And like if it's really strong, maybe like this, but I usually would want to expect something like this, the lower one. And that takes it towards like 1.8K as well, which kind of aligns with the 1.8K target. That's why I have had it. But yeah, I'm willing to wait and see how that goes. But we're at support. It doesn't really make much sense to be bearish, in my opinion. It's the same argument that we had on Bitcoin. Previous cycle, at support, you don't want to be necessarily shorting into it. You don't have to buy it, but if you're shorting at these levels, I think you're doing something wrong. Just doesn't make much sense. How is Don so handsome? I mean, the fuck is that? That kind of question. You're not even seeing me right now. I'm sitting here in my underwear. chilling. So definitely not handsome right now. Do you enter a position always with the Bitcoin pair bullish confirmation? I try to, yeah. Not always, but I try to. Do you think we go to all-time high before end of the year? No. And I don't even think we're going to do that next year. So don't take me being bullish at support as like, okay, I'm a perma bull and I'm expecting 100K next year. No. I think we're going to be in a bear market for quite a while. I think even like if I had to make a guess, we're going to bounce from here, run into 28K, fall back down a little bit, make like a higher low, run back into here, and then I could even see it actually fail and fall back down again. I'm glad I don't have to make a guess though. I'm just gonna trade support to resistance and take it as we go. But you're not gonna see me like say, okay, this is how it's gonna go, because I'm just not that bullish. This is a massive drop, and I'm expecting mean reversion more than anything. I'm not saying this has to be the bear market bottom. I'm not saying it's all like all the selling is over. I'm just saying we've went down a shitload. We have the S&P at support. We have mean reversion targets around 30K, and we have the prior cycle high as support. That's a lot of confirmation that you have. A lot of, in general, like a lot of confluence. That's more than enough for me to take a trade, but that doesn't mean I'm expecting all-time high anytime soon, because I don't. Izzy says, like the videos, fellas. I mean, yeah, that would be nice. That's always appreciated. Do you have a favorite climber? I mean, I like a bunch. I mean, Adam Ondra, obviously legend. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that are really cool. I'm more the YouTube watcher than the competition watcher, so it's for me like the typical kind of climber YouTubers I've seen a lot of, so mostly in that field. But yeah, I don't need to watch it too much because I rather do it myself. Could you do BNB? Sure, yeah. I don't hate the BNB chart at all. I think it's actually quite bullish looking one. It's actually making new all-time highs, right? And this is a failed bearish pattern. Looks pretty damn good. I mean, anyone saying otherwise is just lying. Like everything else is making you like is down 80% against Bitcoin. BNB is making new highs. This is just incredibly strong. You don't want to be fading that, in my opinion. And even on the USD pair, you have support held, right? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, actually. This is at range low. Where do you want to target? Given the BNB BTC breakout, I think you want to target range high, which is quite the target, right? But if you want to be trading BNB, I think like the conservative target would be somewhere down. Wrong thing. It would be somewhere down here, which would be still quite a move, but the more aggressive target would be range high. Have you seen Alpinist? Yes, I have. Hi Dawn, I'm late. Did you happen to discuss how you knew the Bitcoin pairs were the ones to play? I just saw the strength. You just look for strength, man. So you look at Solana Bitcoin, for example, right? You go on the lower time frames. I mean, the daily is actually more than plenty. And then you put this, like you put a second screen on there. You open up Bitcoin, go to the daily time frame. And now we kind of look, okay, what happened? And I mean, this is easy to say in hindsight, but you look at this, right? You had a massive, massive candle here to the downside, right? And that day, Solana BTC capitulated and then went up from the bottom to the top 17%. That's abnormal, right? That's not normal. That kind of move should not be happening during a breakdown, especially if Bitcoin actually doesn't catch a break afterwards, right? Because it's not like Bitcoin did something like this. Bitcoin did break down and went sideways and went down more. But what Solana did was just put in a massive green candle. And the next day, Bitcoin was red again, and Solana put in a green candle as well. And at that point, you kind of have to realize that one, this low time frame consolidation that had broken to the downside actually got fully reclaimed. And two, that this is showing much, much more strength than anything else. And then you just kind of know, okay, this is probably not like a fake move because Bitcoin is breaking down massively, right? It's costing quite a lot to kind of stop that. So someone's just buying big time on the Solana USD front, or on the Solana BTC. It doesn't really matter on either one. And that's just obvious that you want to get a position. So I did. I did not get this, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not the guy that's going to buy the absolute peak or bottom of altcoins usually. I just see the strength. I saw that candle, that massive candle to the upside during a time where it really shouldn't have happened. And I was like, okay, this is something I want to get, especially given that I was looking at the BTC chart and I saw the USD chart, and I was seeing the USD chart run into pretty much the biggest support that we have. At that point, you have confluence between the USD pair and the Bitcoin pair. And then I saw that on Solana and I was like, okay, what else is doing the same thing? And I saw it on a bunch of altcoins. I'm like, okay, there's something there. And then you can just kind of go from there. Is it a guarantee that you're going to be right? Obviously not. But it's a good sign. Like whenever you see these kind of big moves during extreme market conditions, it's usually because someone big is positioning themselves for something. And that's why like I've been so bullish on Solana, right? Because that's been the strongest mover during that day. Or like the strongest serious project that moved like that during that day. And that's just like an easy trade. Don, serious question. If you don't have enough capital, do you think it's wise to take a loan at 4% low monthly installments to buy Bitcoin and ETH? Long plan, minimum 5 years. I know I should take in debt to invest. I shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't. I think it's stupid to take on debt to kind of invest, because if this shit goes to 10K, you're gonna freak the fuck out. And I mean, as like brutal as this sounds, right? But hear me out on this one. I've seen traders, or I've had like traders in chat rooms and stuff kill themselves for trades gone wrong, and they've always been like, when they do so, they do it because they're in debt, right? They're gambling with money that they don't actually have. Like that's been pretty much the story of pretty much every single trader that I've heard, or like just kind of been like around when they've killed themselves. I'm never going to tell anyone, yeah, take on debt and trade. I think it's the most stupid thing that anyone could do, because you never know what's going to happen, right? And then your life is ruined, and you there's obviously no reason to kill yourself ever, right? If you're deep into debt, I mean, that's how it is. Life is much too precious to kind of do anything stupid like that. But the thing is, you're not going to be reasonable, right? So don't even put yourself in that position. If you kind of trade with that mindset, you're risking way too much. Your life is worth much, much, much more, in my opinion. So doing that, I cannot recommend. I will never recommend. I think it's stupid. And the reason why I hate Saylor so much is because he's basically said the exact same thing. You should be like taking debt to buy Bitcoin. And I mean, look at Bitcoin. Ever since he said it, it's like down like 60%. Anyone that did it, listened immediately, basically lost all their money, and now what? Or lost their houses, or lost whatever, and they're in a shit position and they don't know what to do. And if it goes to 10K, if it goes to whatever, they're gonna be just completely wrecked. So I mean, it's not like we tend to joke about losses and stuff, but I've legitimately had people in chat rooms kill themselves. So just don't. Do me the favor, just don't. as depressing as that sounds. And I didn't want to make this stream depressing, but it's just something very close to my heart. And most people are too proud to reach out. So yeah. So there's always the next time, there's always another opportunity, but you don't want to put yourself in harm's way. Would you DCA into Bitcoin ETH here for long term? I mean, the buys that I've done, if this all goes to shit, I'm gonna keep. So I guess I can say yes. I don't think it's the worst idea ever. It's the previous cycle high. I think if it goes to 10K, you just buy more there. I don't think it's the worst idea. If you're like a crypto believer, it's not the worst thing to do. If you're just doing it for speculation, I don't think you should ever DCA. Then you should just be trading. But if you're like a crypto long-term believer, it's not the worst thing in the world. What do you think of Crypto Capo? I mean, he's an idiot in my opinion, but is what it is. Like the stuff, no comment. I mean, I've given a comment, but that's enough. Don just got here, been in stables for a while. Am I too late to buy Bitcoin support? I mean, that is something that you have to figure out for yourself. My average for Bitcoin is 20K. It's at 20.3K. So, yeah. My average for ETH is at 1. It's at 1.1. My average for Solana is at 28-ish. It's at 36. I mean, that one is pretty tough, but the other ones aren't that far away. But, I mean, this could all go to shit, so you should make up your own mind and trade your own shit because, yeah, I'm in a very different situation than you guys, at least most of you. And everyone is in a different position, and everyone has like different risk profiles. So it's always nice to kind of figure out like what someone else has planned and what the reasons are for what they're doing, but it's never good to just blindly copy people. So someone asked about XRP, and I said I would take a look at it. So let's do that real quick. XRP, as long as it's above monthly support on the Bitcoin pair, it's not too bad. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's a really tough one. It's basically all reliant on how the SSD case goes, and I have no idea how that's going. Actually, I haven't looked into it too much. I've just been too focused on other projects. But if you have any info on that, run it. If not, I mean, you're just basically waiting for the case. And I've actually not stayed on top of it at all. It's been easier to trade other stuff for me. But yeah, I don't mind it on the Bitcoin pair. That said, it kind of has to show some strength in the next few days because it's losing the weekly support that it's gained last week. So if we start closing below this weekly support, it starts looking a little bit more ugly. Really important is this support. If you're looking at kind of like the Bitcoin pair, this is what you really don't want to see give out. I think at that point, it's low enough to just kind of take like any trade that has like a stop loss down here towards like wherever you want to. You can also you can all the way target up here if you think the SEC case is going to go well. I'm not the biggest XRP fan, but I think there's a trade there because you don't have to buy too much XRP to make this trade, right? Because if you think it's gonna triple, you don't have to have the biggest position for that to be significant, which means like that 15% loss, if you only take like a tenth of your normal position size or whatever, you're not going to lose too much. You're going to lose like a 1 point something percent, 1.5 obviously in this case, and you're going to gain quite a bit. You can obviously adjust around that a little bit, but yeah, I think like at that support looks really like it looks risk reward wise, it looks really good at that support. If you're already in position, you want to see this hold though. This is kind of like the last line of defense. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to trade it myself. I like other projects better. But yeah, you asked, so there you go. Do you think GCR is the best trader? Does he just have inside info? So I saw him say he hasn't had a losing month in like 3 years. I don't know. I have no idea. Like I have not looked into any of his trades really. The thing is, like, if you're asking me about my opinion about other traders, the thing is, like, most of the time I just have no info on what they're actually doing, because I don't really care what other people are doing, right? Like, I don't open Twitter and I'm like, okay, GCR is doing this, so I should be doing it. Like, not a second in the world. I do that. Like, I don't really give a shit what anyone else is doing. So you're probably easier. Like, you can judge it better than I can, because I don't like. I'm on Twitter to shitpost more, like to kind of consume shitposting more than anything else. Like someone posts a trade, I look at it for a second maybe, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's a good trade, maybe it's a bad trade, but it's not going to influence anything that I'm doing. So you can judge that much better than I can. Are you streaming this from an airplane? No. Why are you asking? Is the quality bad or what? I'm trying to develop your kind of way of looking at things on the higher time frame, but it's getting very tough due to the mindset of scalping that I have. Any suggestions how to overcome this psychology of scalping low time frames? I mean, just don't look at the chart too much, I guess. It's the easiest way to do it. Or just like, I mean, if you're making money on the low time frames, you make your money on the low time frames. But yeah, if you're like obsessing over the low time frame moves, maybe just make it a rule that you can only look at the charts every like whatever, like 3 hours or something until you get better. Because I mean, it's not really healthy to sit in front of the computer all day anyway, to like obsess over price movements. And I mean, most of us have done that at some point. I most certainly have, but I don't think it's too healthy. So yeah, if you want to change that, just tell yourself, okay, I'm taking, like if you're taking a high time frame trade, right? And for example, I've been in this position that I've been in now for like pretty much a month. And there's days where I don't look at the market at all, because I know like this day, like today, is not going to change anything, right? No matter how this daily candle closes, it's not going to change my thesis at all, unless it's like a $3,000 candle down. And I'm just not expecting that to happen. So like, I don't have to look necessarily. It's like if you looked at the 5-minute chart and you're like, okay, these candles matter. They don't, right? This changes nothing. You look at these candles and they seem massive. And you look at the 1 hour chart and this is like what it is. It's retraced half of the move that we had last hour. Like you look at this and it seems so significant, right? And you look at the higher time frame, that's an hourly chart, and you realize like nothing happened at all. This move is completely insignificant. And then you look at 4 hour and you're like, holy shit, this candle is like green still, right? Like the last 4 hours have been, price went from 20K to 20.3K now. So it's actually still green. And then you look at the daily chart and it's like, this hasn't moved at all today. Like it's up a few $100s. So when you kind of start realizing that this kind of stuff, like these movements are completely inconsequential, it gets easier, I guess. I don't have to look at this and be like, okay, obsessing over every candle, because really like one bigger guy selling 10 million in current conditions would take this quite a bit down. And then another guy buying that 10 million could take it all the way back up and then some 5 minutes after, right? So it's not like, one, the market is super illiquid right now, so it doesn't really matter like how the chart looks low time frame wise. And two, it doesn't really matter in general most of the time. So yeah, if you're making your money on the low time frames, keep on doing so. But if you want to do like the high time frame stuff, just stop obsessing over this. Like maybe even disable like the 5-minute chart or the 1 hour chart and just look at the 4 hour. And then you realize, okay, when this candle moves, doesn't really bother me too much because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, what's the difference, right? Would this candle have been significantly different if it closed up here? Like, would the chart be completely different? No, it wouldn't have. Like, this is completely inconsequential. Hope that helps. I don't know. Like, for me, it's just like realizing that most of the moves, 99%, more than 99% of these candles don't matter. What has been your biggest offer for some kind of shill? I don't actually have too much because people are like, hey, we want to offer you to promote this and that, and I tell them to fuck off immediately without asking for a price. I have thrown around, like sometimes, like I get asked, okay, we want to promote this and that, what's your price? And I just throw in like a joke offer, and I've done like between 10 and 20 Bitcoin just for shits and giggles. And I've had like offers that have kind of considered it and came back and are like, are you actually serious? And then I'm like joking around, but obviously still denied every single one of them. So I never know if they would actually go through with it. But there's been a few that considered like my joke offers. So with Bitcoin above 30K, like what's that? Like 10 Bitcoin, 300,000 to like $600,000 roughly ish. Has been considered, not by me, but by other parties, like offering me that shit. But I don't know. I don't see the point. I don't want to be like making money off of other people other than in the market, right? Just kind of seems scummy. But yeah, I legitimately, like, I don't think anyone could offer me anything to shill something I don't believe in or think would actually hurt someone. Great, thank you for your inputs. Yeah, I'm successful in scalping, but I see real gains only in swing, like you mentioned, all the time. So I really want to switch to it as ASAP. Yeah, I mean, it just takes some time. Maybe just have two portfolios, right? Scalp your way through the moves and then position yourself on one part of it that is on a different account. And so you have like your longer term trades, right? That you want to be sticking with for a month. And you legitimately just take the trade, set your stop loss, and then you scalp the low time frames. And you completely ignore your other position, and basically you trade both ways. Also works. How is your health nowadays? Good, good. I'm a little bit, like I've been having trouble sleeping, but I think that's because, yeah, climate's just shit right now. Just tuned in. What are we aping today? I don't think we're aping anything really. Like the market's pretty boring. But yeah, if you want to have like an ape setup, I think like if we close above the red box, just fucking giga long it. That's like the biggest ape setup they can give you, and I can't guarantee you that it's gonna play out. But that's the only ape setup that I'm seeing right now. Like brain that long. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but like most of the time it should work, is like longing above 20.8K, close above 20.8K towards like 28K. I think that's like the brain that completely ridiculous, stupid trade. So there you go. That's the brain that play. Bought any NFTs lately, Doug? I have too many already. No, I just like, I have a bunch. I have like a bunch of on like my public wallet. You can check out if you want to. I've shared it before. And then I have a bunch on the private wallet that out of shame I'm not going to share. And I hope people are going to buy my shit more expensively because I don't want to own these NFTs. But I mean, if someone buys them for like a 2 or 3x from me, I'm going to be more than happy. So yeah, that's that. I think that's enough for today. I'm tired and I have to get up early tomorrow because I have to drive to France. Well, like I don't have to, but I want to. So yeah, appreciate you guys coming by. Always nice to have you around. You're the best. Appreciate the support, and also appreciate the support of FTX, which is sponsoring the show. Their links are in the description. You should really go and check them out if you do anything on your mobile phone, trading wise, or just observing your portfolio. They do all of it. You can swap your assets back and forth, whatever you want to do. It's pretty cool. I can only recommend you guys check it out. And yeah, appreciate you guys supporting us, watching, hanging out, and giving me good questions to answer every time. So yeah, appreciate that. Hope you're gonna have a wonderful rest of the week. I'm probably gonna be around for the Friday show with Cred. That's gonna be fun. So you're gonna hear from me if nothing goes wrong in 2 days. And I'll be around on Twitter maybe, depending on if I find the time or not. So yeah, thanks for coming by. See you guys next time. Bye bye.